everybody, my name is Emma and welcome to Misfit Gardening. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the owner and author of misfitgardening.com, which is an urban homesteading blog based out in the suburbs of Utah. So today I'm going to talk to you guys a bit about composting, in particular a system known as Bokashi. Now, Bokashi composting is different to other traditional methods of composting because it uses a fermentation process before you actually put things into the ground or into a compost heap. Now, the cool thing about this system is that it uses a bacteria which is on rice bran. And this bacteria operates in low oxygen environments or anaerobic environments to be able to ferment and break down the waste and things that you generate. The super cool thing is that you can actually put in these systems raw meat, raw fish, cooked meat, cooked fish. You can put in your normal vegetable peelings and things that you would in a traditional heap, you know, your coffee grounds, your tea bags, those kind of things. You can also put in like chicken bones and things, which is fantastic because you can't do those in a traditional compost bin. Depending on where you live, you know, they can attract vermin. They attract vermin very readily, and even larger predators like bears. So being able to compost, you know, that kind of extra waste that's generated in my kitchen is absolutely fantastic to me because, you know, there's certain things that we will feed the chickens, certain things that we won't. I mean, giving chickens, you know, like chicken scraps from Sunday dinner just seems very, very wrong to me. So that's something that we don't do. But we can pop them into this kind of system. So I actually bought a Bokashi composting system from Amazon, and the link is in the notes below this video. And there was a couple of reasons why I bought this one. First of all, because it came, you know, it comes in a bucket that's, you know, all ready together. You only need to put the spigot in. The seal on the lid is really good, and that's important for an anaerobic system because the bacteria don't like extra oxygen from the air being inside. It actually can stop the process sometimes, so you need to have a system that's fully enclosed. My main reason for getting this particular system is because it came with this caddy. Now, you guys must be thinking, all right, what's so special about the caddy? Like, why is this important? So it comes with carbon filters, which look like this, which you place inside, and they help absorb any smells. Oops. It's a double-lined container, so it's got a nice plastic insert, which is easy to clean. And the reason why I like this so much is because it's small. I live in an older property. My house was built in the 50s, and as such I have a very small kitchen, and the real estate on the kitchen counters is at a premium. So, you know, I can't have things, you know, out all the time because there's just no room for them. But I like things like this to be out because it helps encourage other family members when they're scraping the plates. Oh, I need to scrape it into this container so it can go into the compost heap rather than in the normal trash. So that's why I love this so much, because it has this small caddy, which is just the right size for us to go next to the kitchen sink by the dishwasher. So, you know, it becomes an automatic process for family members to scrape the plate and then, you know, rinse things out and put it in the dishwasher. Now, this actual container is where the waste is collected and where the fermentation process happens. But you can use the caddy to actually collect all of the waste, and then once it's full you want to transfer it into here. So inside, ooh, I did say the lid was good, inside of here is a false bottom, which is just like a grid, like a mesh type thing, and what this does is this will allow water to escape out, and there's a reservoir at the bottom. Hopefully you guys can see that, and then there's, you can see just where the spigot is to tap off any liquids that are formed. So when you have filled up your caddy, or you've got a large quantity of peelings, or offcuts from, I don't know, flower arrangements, whatever, you chop them up into pieces that you want, kind of small pieces. You don't want like big chunks. If you've got large pieces of bone, you definitely want to chop those up before they go in. But you just place them straight into the bucket, and then you want to distribute some of the bran on top, and then it comes with they call it a compressor. It looks like a potato masher to me. In fact, it looks like the first one I had when I went to college. But what you do with this is you smush down all of the waste, and by doing that you're pushing out some of the water, but you're also pushing out the air, which is great for the bacteria to be able to get to work. So you push out all of the air, and you place your inoculated bran onto it. Now it comes with a sugar-sized bag full of the inoculated bran, and it also comes with a measuring scoop. Great. So normally you just take a scoop, sprinkle it all over the waste, and then you will go ahead and reseal the system. And then when you've filled your caddy again, do the same thing. You'll empty it all into here, you'll smush it all down, you'll put another scoop of the Bokashi bran on, let it do its thing. Once this is filled up, and you will notice as time goes on and you're adding stuff to it each time, you'll notice that the volume's dropping slightly, and that's because you're losing water as part of the respiration process, or the growing and developing of the bacteria. Now the water and things which are generated are held in the reservoir in the bottom of this system, and this needs to be drained off quite regularly. It helps reduce smells and things like that as well. Now the interesting thing, well certainly it was interesting to me, but the fluid that comes off this system, some people call it Bokashi juice, some people call it Bokashi tea, other people call it a leachate. But what you can do is you can take the neat stuff that comes out of here, like the liquid, and you can actually place it down your drains, and they will help prevent clogging in drains, which is great for me because I live in an older property, and doing anything I can help stop drain clogging is fantastic. And I find it really fascinating that it comes from, it's waste food, and it's going to help prevent my drains from getting clogged. So that to me I find quite fascinating. But what you can also do with it is it makes quite a good plant feed. So, I definitely wouldn't use more than 1 cup to a 2 gallon watering can full of water, and then just use that to water your plants with. And it's good for house plants, it's good for vegetables, fruits, flowers, trees, herbaceous perennials, anything like that. And you should notice a good improvement with your plant growth because you're adding beneficial bacteria to the ground as well, so that'll help the symbiotic relationships that occur between plants and soil to enable them to take up nutrients and things. So after all this has been filled up, I typically would leave it about a week before I would go ahead and start planning on where I'm going to put this in the garden. Now, I mentioned that this was a 2-phase process, and what you need to do, if you read the instructions that come with the kit, is either dig a hole or a trench in the garden and then place the waste in, and then fill back over the hole, and then after anywhere between sort of 7, 10, 15 days at the most, the majority of the stuff that you've placed in there will have rotted away, leaving a really nutrient dense compost. Now the material that goes in at the very start can be quite acidic, so I wouldn't recommend planting very fresh seedlings or seeds and things into that soil. I would give it another 10 days on top of that to just let the pH and things rebalance, and the microbes and stuff to kind of acclimatise better, and give your seedlings a better chance of surviving. Now if you've got plants that like acidic soil, say you've got rhododendrons, or you have heather, blueberries, cranberries, those kind of things which like it quite acidic, then you'd be fine to kind of plant you know, around, you know, but give plenty of space to be able to do that, and then that should give your plants a really good nutrient boost as well. I quite like the trenching method, mostly because I have a large garden where I grow things, and you know, if you guys follow the blog or Instagram, you'll see lots of pictures of where we're currently growing. And we're looking at expanding to have the whole of the side yard being a vegetable garden next year. So for us, trenching kind of makes sense because we can actually just put it straight down in the ground where we're going to be building a raised bed on top, and we can just layer all of that waste in there, and then we can pop some compost on top, and it's not going to be any problem because it's not going to be used until spring. So that gives it plenty of time for things to, you know, work out, acclimatise, you know, and degrade basically. If you don't have an ability to put it in a trench or dig a hole in the garden, you can place this stuff directly into your compost heap. You can pop it on top and then put some other things straight on top of it, or you can kind of dig in the middle and then add the contents in there. Either way, it's going to break down. I mean, really the only things that tend to be left are big chunky bits of bone, or if you've got kind of, you know, very woody fibrous material that's been placed in from something like brassica stems, you know, from broccoli or cabbage, things like that. Those tend to take a lot longer to break down. Which, you know, it's a lot better than some of the other systems. I mean, it's much faster than a worm composting system, and also definitely better than a traditional composting heap. So those are things that I really like about the system, and this particular model that I bought, it's easy to clean, which is great. It is small enough to fit in, you know, a pantry or a cupboard, or, you know, under the sink. It doesn't smell because it's got a tight lid, so, you know, you could even put it in a garage or in the basement. It's not going to bother anything. The interesting things about Bokashi, particularly if you are like me and you already collect stuff to go into a compost heap in a bucket, Bokashi won't attract fruit flies and things. They don't seem to like the smell or the fermentation process, which is good because, you know, my other buckets, which I collect all of my kitchen scraps and things in to go into the main compost heap, you know, I get fruit flies and things all the time. So being able to switch to something that will reduce the flies in the house, great. That's really good. And the other thing is, it's pretty, you know, it's pretty tight. You know, as long as the lid's on properly, you know, you shouldn't have any problems with, you know, animals and getting into the bin. This particular one I'm going to be keeping out on my back patio, just because, you know, having 3 dogs, you know, placing this on the floor somewhere, for me, it's going to get knocked over by my boisterous dogs. So outside on the back patio is the ideal place for me to keep this. But again, you know, you can try different places in your house, see whether, you know, you get a better rate of fermentation if it's somewhere a little warmer or a little cooler. You know, just really find something that works for you. And speaking of finding things that works for you, if you live somewhere where you don't have a back patio, or, you know, you don't have a large compost heap or anything like that, but you really want to be able to compost what's been placed in here, you can try putting them in a very large plant pot and, you know, just layering the waste in. You put the fermented waste into the bottom of the container, and then I would put a layer of organic compost on top, just to kind of keep, you know, everything sort of out of the way. You know, you don't want birds or anything kind of pecking through it or anything like that. But also the organic compost will help provide some additional bacteria and things that will help break that down. So you could look at that being an option, although there isn't a lot available online for how to compost using Bokashi if you live somewhere like an apartment. So if that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, you know, leave me a comment over here on YouTube, or drop me a comment on my blog if you're viewing this on the blog, and let me know, because that's something that I can definitely trial for you, you know, and do another video on it. So in a nutshell, Bokashi Composting allows you to compost different things. Most notably, it allows you to compost meat, fish, dairy, raw and uncooked foods on top of the traditional items which would go into a compost heap, like your coffee grounds, tea bags, you know, vegetation, waste, vegetables, fruits, all those kind of things. It's a two-phase process. First part is fermenting with the Bokashi Microorganism. Just to let you know, this stuff it's safe. You know, you're not gonna, you know, hurt people, you know, pets, animals, or anything like that with stuff. You know, it's safe, so don't worry too much that you're handling a bacteria. And it's one of the fastest methods of composting, really, once you've had the fermentation process done and the materials in the ground or in the heap. It's one of the fastest to disappear. Vermin and some predators are deterred by the system. They don't like the smells, so that's another benefit. And fruit flies and things are also not really interested. So if flies are a problem around your compost heap, have a think about using Bokashi. Well, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.